Top of the morning, top of the afternoon, top of the evening, y'all. Today is a great day. Why, you might ask? Well, a couple reviews ago, I expressed to you that I felt like I found the best book that I've read thus far for 2025. Nip, not, no. I just finished reading the best book that I've read thus far for the year. Not only that, it's a memoir, and I cannot wait to share this experience with you. They Never Saw Me Coming by Tanya Smith. They Never Saw Me Coming. Y'all, this memoir could have easily mistaken as a fiction read. It was just that unbelievable. The fact that this story is a true story just completely blew my mind. And it's fascinating read, fascinating read. Right from the start, you feel connected to Tanya. She's incredibly smart, driven, and at first she was really focusing on helping people that were in need. And just incredible, and a fantastic storyteller. Just, oh my gosh. What makes her so fantastic? I'm pretty sure you're thinking. Well, by the time she was 13, she secured a plane ticket by herself, flew to Michael Jackson's childhood home, and boldly begged to see him, though she never got to meet him. That's crazy, right? By 20, she'd gotten millions of dollars by breaking into banks and computer systems. By the age of 30, she was serving what would totally be 13 years in prison for wire fraud, bank fraud, conspiracy, and attempted credit card fraud. Y'all. So how did that all begin? Okay. So when she was in high school, I think it was high school, she had a neighbor that didn't have the money to pay their electric bill. And this was the first time she ever thought about doing what she called a transaction. And it ran flawlessly throughout the late 70s and into the 80s. But let me tell you what, there's no way, absolutely no way, that she could pull off what she did then right now, because shit ran a little bit different right now. You know what I'm saying? And why do I seem so excited? And you might think, why am I celebrating her? That, like, she's the villain, right? Stealing from banks and scamming the system. So, I don't feel like I've really finished a book until I've read at least a couple of good reviews about it. Because apparently my opinion needs validation or a good argument. But people are like, she's a villain. This is not a good thing. But here's the thing. Tanya's story is captivating. Not just because of what she did, but how she tells it, the boldness, the vulnerability, and the authenticity. Honestly, part of me wanted to be like her. Someone who was fearless, outsmarting people, and who was clearly underestimated. Okay? This book gives me the Catch Me If You Can vibes, which I believe was also a true story. But imagine that same level of thrill, but only it's a Black woman in the 70s, pulling it off. I think that's what made the story so shocking. Law enforcement didn't even believe a Black woman could possibly be smart enough to run such an operation. That's exactly why she evaded them for so long. She even told them, I'm the one who's in charge of the operation. They said, no, you can't be. Why? Because you are... Bro, I'm not going to lie. As I read, I went through a roller coaster of emotions. Impressed, sad, frustrated. I found myself even mad at Tanya sometimes. I kept yelling in my head. For her not to trust these shady ass men, and every time she did trust these shady ass men, and every time they burned her. It's a harsh reminder that money is a dangerous motivator. People will do anything for it, no matter how they get it or who they hurt when doing it. I hate money. I hate what money does to people. But you know what? This would make an incredible movie. A Black woman defying expectations, using her smarts to outmaneuver the system. But her story was also painful. Like I said, men just didn't do her right. I felt for Tanya when she talked about her twin. Yes, she had a twin sister. How drugs kind of came in between them, and just Tanya's choices led to just a major heartbreak for the whole family. And she had even children from the shady guy. Oh, it just pissed me off. Just that guy just pissed me off. And like they're just rotten men. And I'm being polite by calling them rotten men. She had her two children grew up without her because she was in jail serving her time. And that part crushed me. Uh, so much went on in this book. She conveys her story with such power, clarity, that you can't help but to be pulled right into her world and just be amazed by everything that she did and for how long she did it for. I mean, this woman was out here robbing banks with nothing but a phone call. She was that smooth. She even walked away with an actual computer straight from outside of the bank by doing the phone call. Just, I don't even know. I don't even have the words. Just an amazing read. And if you know me, you know I like to investigate. So because my curiosity was piqued, I went a little digging and I found an article where Tanya was being interviewed, and I wanted to share a few of the Q&A highlights from that conversation. The interviewer asked, "Speaking of being mistreated, you write that your taste in men is consistently horrible. What's that about?" Tanya says, I know. I just wanted to try to change lives and just make it better. I think they were looking at me with dollar signs in their eyes, and I was looking for real, genuine relationships. I was looking for someone who would appreciate me for being smart and for being who I am. The interviewer asked, "You've been out of prison for 25 years, and a lot of these memories are painful. Why pour them into a book now?" Tanya says, "My daughter was pushing me to tell the story. I was reluctant to do it. She was like, 'Mom, you have this great story. You've got to tell the world everything you went through.' And I finally did. I wanted it to be really raw and relatable." The interviewer asked, "Why did you start stealing money and deposit it into accounts of friends and family?" Tanya says, "My parents always said I could have been anything that I wanted to be. But when I was younger, I used to think, I want to change the world. I want to make it better. My two best girlfriends, it drove me crazy when people would discriminate against them. It drove me crazy when people tried to be who they weren't, so I was always defending them. I always wanted to help people." The interviewer asked, "How were you able as a teenager with a computer you hid in your family's attic to bust into banking networks and steal tens of millions of dollars?" Tanya says, "Somehow my brain just kicks in and I can figure stuff out. I can make it happen. I've always been like that." The interviewer says, "Still?" Tanya says, "If somebody has an issue and they need help, I could probably help them figure out a strategy." Y'all, I recommend this book. You should pick it up. I recommend it. Get it from Libby. Borrow it. I don't know, but you got to read it. It's a fascinating book. What I'm reading now is Frida McFadden's The Tenant. I've never met a book that I didn't like of Frida's, but this one I'm not too sure about. I'm 20% in. We will see. I'll let you know next week. Have a good day. Stay booked and not bother. I'll see you next week.